Chairman's update. Lots transpired in the last week. The 2026 legislative session at the state capitol in Olympia finished on time. Last Thursday was sine die. That's the Latin term for without another day. It's the formal way of saying the regular legislative session is over. It was a pretty bad session. A lot of bad bills passed. We were able to play a lot of defense. The House Republican Caucus and the State Senate Republican Caucus stopped a record number of bad left-wing bills that had been proposed at the Capitol. Still, some bad ones got through. You've probably heard or read about some of them, but the big four, in my opinion, are the bill creating a new state income tax, the bill raiding one of the public employee pensions. That's a first for our state, following the bad models set by California, Illinois, and New York, those bankrupt states. The third is the anti-sheriff bill that managed to pass through, which basically puts an appointed commission in the position of being able to decertify elected sheriffs, county sheriffs around the state of Washington. Bad plan there. And then the fourth is a bill, and really it was three bills, that in different ways expand the investigatory powers of the state attorney general in a way that will make the state attorney general able to weaponize these new laws and go after, with investigations, people or businesses he doesn't like. But that first one I mentioned, the big one, the new state income tax. Washington state has never had a state income tax before. It's been tried 11 or 12 different times. The people have always rejected it. It's bad tax policy. It's against the state constitution. Our state constitutions are, heard me say before, is the part that deals with tax policy. And Article 7 pretty clearly prohibits any kind of a property tax or income tax that is applied in a non-uniform way. That means some households pay it and others don't. The state constitution in Article 7 says all such taxes have to be uniform. They have to be applied evenly to every household. And the governor's proposal does not do that. So that's going to be the big one. That's going to be a big issue for the months ahead. It was the subject, as you may know, of a record-long floor fight, of which I was part, and the rest of my colleagues in the House Republican Caucus were all part. We went 25 hours of uninterrupted floor debate on the governor's state income tax proposal. That was Senate Bill 6346. We were able to amend it in a couple of very small ways, but most of our amendments, and we had about 80 of them, were rejected. But we were able to make the case about the constitutional defects in the proposal. And that was important, because when the inevitable lawsuits come over this new state income tax, the ones arguing against it, challenging it, can refer back to that floor debate to establish legislative intent. This is a reason why some people always ask me, why do you fight? Why you got these bad bills? Why don't you just yield and let them go? Well, the reason to fight in a floor debate in the legislature is that is the public record. And when we make the case in the public record on the floor debate that there are constitutional defects in the governor's scheme, the lawyers who sue to challenge it later can go back and reference that floor debate and show that the legislature was warned that there were constitutional defects in the proposal, and they can use that in their court challenges. That's the reason I fight so hard on the floor, on this bill and other ones too. And that's the reason all of us as Republicans in Washington have to fight tooth and nail these bad policies. We can't just give up. We can't just say, oh, it's cooked, it's rigged, I'm not going to participate. We have to fight. And that's what we're here to do. So there will be lawsuits against the governor's new state income tax. They put not an emergency clause, but what they call a necessity clause on the bill that operates like an emergency clause. That makes a referendum very hard to do, but an initiative to overturn it we can still do. And so it is very likely you will see an initiative filed, or maybe several initiatives filed. I've heard from several people who want to do it, that would overturn income tax. The state income tax as designed doesn't take effect really until early 2029 for the 2028 income year. So there's a ramping up period. We have a little bit of a time window there where we can run an initiative. So you're going to see lawsuits, an initiative, and then ultimately we have this November's midterm elections. I believe that this unpopular, unconstitutional state income tax is going to be a game changer in Washington state for the midterm legislative races. I don't know how it'll affect the Congress races, a little bit maybe, but since it's a state income tax issue, I think it's going to have a big impact on those state legislative races. And we're going to make sure it has a big impact. The Washington State Republican Party is going to be banging that drum from now till November about how the Democrats voted for an unpopular, unconstitutional state income tax, something they've wanted all along. They've played all kinds of legal hopscotch and frame-setting games to set this thing up. It's still unconstitutional, and it's still bad economic policy. It's chasing businesses out of state. We've already seen that Starbucks is moving some of its corporate headquarters to Nashville, Tennessee. And its former, very well-known, high-profile CEO, Howard Schultz, made a public statement that he was moving himself and his family to Florida because of the bad taxes here in Washington. So the exodus is beginning. What we as Republicans have to do is show business owners and entrepreneurs and next generation startups that we are going to fight these bad tax policies. We're going to argue for reasonable budgets that don't require constant tax hikes and new taxes, that don't require raiding pension funds and stealing the money out to put into the operating account of the budget because we're spending too much in our operating budget, that we're a bulwark against anti-sheriff, anti-cop laws coming out of Olympia, and that we don't want to see critically the state attorney general complains when the federal agencies do it. Utter hypocrisy, that. We're going to show between now and November that Republicans in Washington state are the common sense party. We're the working people's party. We're the ones who are saying don't raid pension funds. And we're the business owners party. We're the ones saying we don't need a new income tax. It runs against our law. It runs against our Constitution. It runs against our traditions of being a state without a state income tax. It's the reason why we're a great place to come and do your startup. We're going to defend what's good in Washington. We're going to do it by supporting lawsuits. We're going to do it by supporting initiatives. And we're going to do it by supporting good candidates in the midterm elections. The Chinese, of course, have a famous saying, may you live in interesting times. It's a combination of a blessing and a curse. Well, my fellow Republicans, we live in interesting times. And what Bob Ferguson and State Attorney General Nick Brown and Senate Democrat leader Jamie Peterson and House Democrat Speaker Lori Jenkins have done this year is made things interesting. It's going to be fun. I'll talk to you again more soon, but until next time, be well and stay strong.